Hey guys, we're back inside today because it's currently finishing up another round of rain, which I'm so excited about. We have been so dry here that the bahia grass has been dying. And that's when you know that you're dry because bahia pretty much grows all the time. So I'm very thankful that we keep having more showers now and everything's starting to green up again. But because of that, I'm gonna stay inside, where it's not muggy and I can stay dry. So today I want to talk a little bit about where I am in my journey with breast cancer and the realization of some things that God's leading me to during this time. So I met with a surgeon and he told me about my options. I could do hormone therapy, I can do lumpectomy with radiation, possibly chemo, or I could do mastectomy, double mastectomy, no radiation, and possibly still have to do chemo. And it just all kind of was a lot because everybody up until this point had been saying it's early, it's treatable, like the faster the better, you should be fine. So I'm not at all thinking that a double mastectomy at 33 years old for a 1.8 centimeter tumor in one breast. So that was a lot. And my doctor, though good, probably didn't give me as many details as I probably needed at the time. Again, it's a lot. But as time went on, my husband and I started discussing, because I'm not going to make a decision without him being a part of it and wanting his input in it. And realizing that it's not, if I get a mastectomy, it's not that they just take the underlying breast tissue. It's they take skin and all. And up until that point, I'd kind of been doing okay with the idea of the double mastectomy because I'm like, well, that takes radiation kind of off the plate. I think it's worth that sacrifice because I have a bad inflammatory reaction. I am 1% of the population who has severe inflammatory reactions. So radiation is not necessarily, it won't be the same for me like most patients. But I didn't think about that literally they're going to be pulling skin from here and here, do plastic surgery to recreate the whole thing. And I don't know why that I was okay with the idea that it was all the underlying tissue and then you just slip an implant in there. But the idea that it was a total amputation, let's just be blunt, okay? A double mastectomy is an amputation, okay? That's exactly what it is. That's how it feels. And even though with plastic surgery, yes, there'll be a new normal, and yes, you can resemble kind of what you're used to in a female body. But the idea that there'd be literally no feeling there and that whatever you recreate, it still won't be normal. It won't be what you knew. And that realization sent me. And my doctor should have been a little bit more clear of what that meant. I didn't know. My husband knew because he'd known other people with this procedure. I had not known until now on the other side of it. I've had a few people reach out, but I didn't know beforehand. So I literally had no idea. And it kept me up that night. I had a hard time sleeping, a lot of crying. And when I woke up the next morning, I just came before God and I'm like, God, I don't know why that bothers me. Like, why am I so concerned with keeping the skin, basically? Like, it's not that much further of a step. You know, I was okay with everything right up until that realization. Why does that bother me so much? Because it was really sitting heavy on me, and still does a little bit. And I was having a hard time being focused in my prayer, you know. And the best way I can explain it is I almost had like this monologue with God. Like if I had gone and sat with him at a coffee shop, and I'm like, God, I just need to like spill my guts. And that's what I did. It wasn't like complaining. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, I was just one-sided and God was not involved. No, he absolutely was. But it was almost like when you go and you vent to a friend, like, to get it out. And when you do that, it kind of helps you process and get to why you feel the way that you feel. Well, that's what it was like. Like, I went to God in prayer being like, I don't know why that bothers me. Why does this shake me so? And I just start venting to God. I start telling him all of the crazy thoughts in my head that I could, like, they weren't lining up at all the night before when I wasn't sleeping. But somehow being able to meet with God, they were all starting to line up. And he led me to this insecurity that I have that ultimately boils down to not feeling valued or worthy. And my breast tied into it because of my past. Some of you know that for a while my husband and I were separated for 9 months. We're going to get a divorce, and it was not good. And the short of it was he was not in love with me. He did not treat me well, to kind of put it nicely, and he had an addiction with porn. He hadn't been honest with me till after we separated. And we went through a whole journey of just where God broke us and rebuilt us. And all I can say is the grace of God intervened and did all that. And I'm truly, truly blessed by that. And I love my husband, and I don't ever tell this story of like, oh, I'm trying to be better than my husband, or I want to air our dirty laundry. But it is a part of our testimony. And even though we're in a good place now, and we're in an honest place, there's still lingering scars, which is why pornography is such a bad thing. Okay, there is no way to justify that that's okay, or healthy, or good. It's bad. And it left a scar on me because I'm like, there's not even a legitimate woman that I can point to and be like, oh, she was better than me. You know, or that he left me for her. He left me for a figment of his imagination, for a woman that's not even real, that doesn't know that he exists at all. And it left me with this feeling of, how can I compete with that? Like, how unfair. There's not even a physical woman that I could go and compare myself to. Like, it just, and it's been a real knock to my confidence ever since then. You know, Steven and I, we've talked, and we've had like therapy sessions, you know, and are moving through this. But that was major damage that left me feeling less than I should as his wife. And it was a realm that damaged our intimate relationship. And so now you pile on top of this insecurity that I'm not enough as a woman for my husband. Now you want to go ahead and just take a major part off of me. Take a piece of my womanhood away when I already struggle with insecurities there. And that was just such a wave of realization of why it bothered me. It wasn't so much that I'll have no feeling there. Even if you recreate something, it'll never function that way again. But it had more to do with my perceived value to my husband. And then it just started putting these other pieces together through my life of there's this common thread throughout everything where I just don't feel valued.